Welcome to OOTO TV, the out-of-the-office investigation from the past into the future of personal health and actualization. This time we're discussing the influence of thoughts on water. I'm Angel, and with me is my co-host, Matisse. Get ready, because today we are exploring an idea that is truly mind-bending. The possibility that our consciousness, our thoughts, our feelings can leave a physical, visible mark on the world around us.
That's the big question, isn't it, Angel? It really challenges everything we think we know about reality. We're taught that our minds are in here, and the physical world is out there, and they're two totally separate things. But what if that's not the whole story? What if there's a constant dialogue happening between our inner world of thoughts and intentions and the physical stuff of the outer world? Today we're going to investigate the incredible evidence that suggests this conversation is not only real, but something you can actually see with your own two eyes.
And just look at this. This is our starting point for the entire investigation. I mean, the evidence right here is just jarring, isn't it? On the left, you have water that was simply exposed to the words thank you. It froze into this absolutely gorgeous, symmetrical, intricate crystal. But on the right, water that heard you make me sick, well, it's just a chaotic, ugly, distorted mess. This isn't just about pretty pictures. It's suggesting that the very information in our words could be creating order or disorder at a molecular level.
That difference is just night and day, Angel, and it opens up a million questions. So to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to follow a very specific path in our investigation today. We're going to start with those foundational experiments on water's hidden messages. Then we'll look at a really simple experiment with rice that tons of people have tried. From there, we'll explore the incredible fractal patterns that make up these beautiful shapes before diving into the really deep quantum physics that might explain how any of this is even possible. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by talking about what it means for you and me.
Okay, so let's start with the man who brought these stunning images to the world, Masaru Emoto. He was a Japanese researcher with this radical idea that water was, in his words, a blueprint for our reality. He truly believed that the energy and vibrations from our thoughts could physically change the way water molecules structure themselves. Now, it's a wild idea for sure, but it was his photographs, his visual evidence that completely captivated the world and kicked off this whole conversation.
His method was actually pretty simple, but the results were anything but. He'd take ordinary glasses of water and expose them to different things, words, pictures, even music. Then he'd take tiny droplets from each glass, freeze them, and snap pictures of the ice crystals under a microscope. And the results, as you can see right here, were just stunningly consistent. Water that got positive vibes, words like love and truth, it always formed these complex, symmetrical, beautiful crystals. And the water exposed to negative stuff, it barely formed crystals at all, just these incomplete, chaotic blobs.
Those crystal images are absolutely breathtaking, Matisse. But they were made in a lab, with special equipment and controlled conditions. So it brings up a really important question. Can this effect be demonstrated in a way that's, well, more down to earth? Can we see this principle working outside of a lab, maybe even in our own kitchens?
That's the million-dollar question, Angel, and it leads us straight to the replicated rice experiment. This was inspired by Emoto's work, and it's something anyone can try. All you do is take 3 jars with some cooked rice and water. You label one jar with positive words, like love. The second one gets negative words, like hate. And the third jar, you just ignore it. That's your control group. Then, every day for about a month, you speak those words and direct that intention to the right jars.
And the results from people who've done this are just wow. You can see it for yourself. The hate jar is often covered in this disgusting black and red mold. It's literally rotting. But the love jar, so often it shows no mold at all. Instead, the rice actually starts to ferment, creating this sweet-smelling liquid. It's an incredible visual. It's like the positive intention encourages a life-affirming process, fermentation, while the negative one just leads straight to decay and rot.
And look, this isn't just some random fluke, Angel. As one researcher, Sammy Doherty, put it after she replicated this very experiment for her thesis, quote, "It was clear to me that Emoto Masaru's results were trustworthy and, in fact, duplicatable." So what she's saying is this isn't a one-off. It appears to be a consistent, repeatable phenomenon that goes beyond just frozen water and into actual ongoing biological processes happening right on your countertop.
It's just so fascinating. It seems like both the beautiful crystals and the healthy rice are responding to some kind of positive organizing force. And when you look really closely at those gorgeous water crystals, they have a very specific mathematical beauty to them. This brings us to a universal pattern that we see all throughout the natural world: fractals.
Exactly. A fractal is basically nature's copy and paste function.
Think of a fern frond, where each little leaf looks like a miniature version of the whole thing. These patterns are fundamental to how things grow and take shape in the universe. You see them everywhere, in coastlines, in lightning bolts, even in the branching of the veins in your own body. And here's the key. Those beautiful water crystals formed by positive thoughts, they are also fractal-like. They are aligning with a fundamental pattern of life itself.
And get this, there's a deep biological reason we find these patterns so beautiful. A physicist named Richard Taylor discovered something he calls fractal fluency. It's the idea that our brains are literally hardwired to process and enjoy looking at fractals. We evolved surrounded by them in nature, so our visual system just loves them. This leads to an amazing conclusion. Exposure to healthy influence of thoughts on water improves your social mood and mental ability to share ideas and thoughts, partly because it generates these very patterns that our brains find so soothing and pleasing.
And it's not just a feeling of pleasure, it's a measurable physiological effect. Taylor's team found that looking at these kinds of fractal patterns can reduce a person's stress levels by as much as 60%. 60%! What's happening is that our own visual system, which is also fractal-like, resonates with the pattern it's seeing. So not only do positive thoughts seem to create these beautiful patterns, but just looking at them can have a profoundly calming effect on our own biology.
Okay, so we've seen the evidence in the water and the rice, and we're starting to understand the beautiful fractal patterns behind it all. But Matisse, this all leads to the biggest question of all. How? How can the influence of thoughts on water actually work? How can a non-physical thing like a thought create a physical change in a glass of water? This seems to break all the rules of physics as we know them. You're listening to OOTO TV with research by author Paul Beulah.
It absolutely challenges the mainstream materialist view, Angel. That's the idea that our brain is just a meat computer, consciousness is just an accidental byproduct, and our thoughts are stuck inside our skulls. But there is another way to look at it, a framework from physicist Matti Pekkanen called topological geometrodynamics, or TGD. And this theory flips the script entirely. It says consciousness isn't an accident, it's fundamental to the whole universe, and that our thoughts interacting with the world at a distance is a key part of how life even works.
Okay, so hang on, because this is where the theory gets really fascinating. According to TGD, we are way more than just our physical bodies. It proposes we each have something called a magnetic body. The easiest way to think about it is like a personal energy field, or a Wi-Fi signal for our consciousness, that extends way out beyond our skin. In this model, that field is the real us, the part that's actually directing our intentions. Our physical body is just the hardware it uses to get things done.
And this magnetic body is said to operate through something called dark matter phases. Now, it's really important to say, this is not the same dark matter that astronomers are looking for out in space. In this theory, it's a term for a special state of matter where quantum effects, like entanglement, that weird link between particles, can happen over huge distances, not just at the tiny subatomic level. This is the theoretical bridge that could allow our non-physical intention, guided by our magnetic body, to reach out and interact with a physical glass of water. Now, of course, Angel, we know this sounds way out there. It's a huge leap from mainstream science, and we should absolutely be skeptical. The theory's creator even talks about this, and this is our contrary commentary for today. He distinguishes between a true skeptic, who is open to questioning everything, and what he calls a pseudo-skeptic, someone who just automatically denies anything that challenges the status quo. The point here isn't to just blindly accept this theory, but to stay open to the possibility that these effects are real, and then look for a framework, however unusual, that might begin to explain them.
Okay, so if we just run with this theory for a minute, if our magnetic body can send a signal to water, what's in the signal? What's the actual language of that interaction, Matisse? How does a water molecule know the difference between the information in love versus the information in hate?
This might be the most beautiful part of the whole theory, Angel. It suggests that our emotions have a physical signature, almost like music. The theory makes a deep connection between the geometry of our own genetic code and musical harmony. It proposes that different emotions literally corresponds to different musical chords. So a positive intention, like love, broadcasts a coherent, harmonious frequency. And a negative intention? It broadcasts a dissonant, chaotic frequency. It's this music of light that our consciousness uses to create either order or disorder in the matter around us.
Wow. Okay, we've gone from simple ice crystals all the way to quantum physics and the music of our DNA. So let's bring this all back home. If any of this is even remotely true, what are the takeaways? What are the key elements for the influence of thoughts on water that we need to understand for our own lives? Right. The first and maybe most important point is that this doesn't seem to be a passive thing. The experiments make it crystal clear. The influence of thoughts on water requires a healthy amount of positive attitude to facilitate best results. The mindset of the person sending the intention is everything. It seems to take a genuine, focused, and truly positive feeling to create those beautiful, life-affirming structures. You can't just fake it.
And that leads directly to the second key takeaway. This is not a one-and-done deal. Remember, the rice experiment went on for 30 days. This strongly suggests that the influence of thoughts on water requires consistent positive energy to be active and healthy. One nice thought is great, but it's the sustained, focused intention that seems to create these really dramatic, long-lasting effects. And that implies that the influence of thoughts on water requires the ability to have periods of calm, thoughtful focus to be at maximum productive health. It's a practice, not just a passing thought.
And all of this brings us to our final and maybe most profound question. Emoto himself believed his work was really just a mirror for us. He argued that if our words and our thoughts can do this to water in a glass, we have to stop and seriously think about what they're doing to the water inside our own bodies and in the bodies of everyone around us. So, we'll leave you with this to think about. If our thoughts can shape the water outside us, what are they doing to the 70% of water that is inside us?